Welcome back to Smarter You Media, where we guarantee to make you smarter in 2 minutes. You're going to want to stick around because we're going to be that much fun for the rest of the time. Anyway, it is an honor today to have one of the best young tech entrepreneurs I've ever met with us on the show. Millions of people have participated on his websites. He continues to have a site with 1 million monthly unique visitors. And personally, when I need to know something about the tech industry, I go to Henry Lipscomb and ask him questions to know where we are, where we're headed, and maybe most importantly, how quickly we're going to get there. Henry, welcome to Smarter You.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Well, it is all on us. We can't wait to get a little smarter, and we don't wait. That's not what we do. We get straight to the point. So I'm going to pull out the chicken timer that everybody knows oh so well and add a couple of minutes to it. And Henry, I'm going to dare you to make us a little bit smarter.
Yeah. So for my 2 minutes, I'm going to focus on starting a business, and we'll talk later, I'm sure, about growing the business. But first, I want to say slow down and really ask the right questions. There are infinite business ideas out there, so deciding on which one to do is key. And my advice that I've learned is target going into an already proven market where you do not have to spend money educating people. If this first product or service does really well, then sure, you can go later and reinvent the wheel. But start small and improve your product through constant iterations over time is my advice. And the first version does not have to be perfect. My first company was not perfect at first, but focus on learning through experience. It might feel unmotivating, but your efforts to market, develop, and learn through the process will compound, and eventually you will see a lot of people using your product or service. And another piece of advice is I see a lot of people spending years to develop a product or a service. How can you perfect something when you don't have people actually using it, actually giving you customer feedback? So my main piece of advice is to start, spend time, of course, making a good service or product, but get it out there and through iteration, spend time perfecting it. It doesn't have to be perfect at first. And finally, don't be unmotivated if you don't have a huge budget. I started with a very small budget, and get scrappy. When I was first starting out, we got traffic by spending no money through posting on forums, social media, and getting partnerships, which are all strategies I'm sure we'll go into.
Wow. You didn't even make it all the way to the 2 minutes. I think the
Yeah,
chicken's a little bit
I was short.
the
Yeah,
chicken's a little bit sad, wanted to be beeping
yeah,
at you or something, but you have a full 30 seconds left, and honestly there's a lot in there. So we're going to send anybody who wants to off into their day. I think you've given a great sort of groundwork very quickly on some of the key things that you could try to do if you're starting a business, because all of us have that great idea. We have that
yeah.
thing. So thank you for that. Everybody who wants to run away, go ahead, but we've
Thank you.
just started.
But stick
So
around.
that's
Stick
right.
around.
Dare to stick around. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. So let's take those pieces that you brought to the beginning,
Yep.
part one at a time. So let's start with sort of the first piece, which was find the right thing. Now, it's
Yeah.
easy to say these things. Now,
Yeah.
probably everything that you said in there is a lot easier to say than it is to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. But yeah, now we can kind of explain, because yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, is to find the right plan or the right idea, right? Yeah.
Now, as I understand it, when you were 15 years old, you found something. Tell a little
Yeah.
bit of that origin story. I think that'll help us.
Yeah. So the most successful project I've created is discords.com, which is basically a place for everything Discord. So you can go there and you can find Discord servers, Discord bots, emojis. I think we have the biggest emoji database. We have 20 million emojis that you can
Wow,
download on our website, which is
that's
kind of a
insane.
fun thing. But we have so everything Discord. And how I thought of that idea, I was young. I was on Discord playing video games with my friends,
Yep.
and I was just in the community. So I started marketing for other Discord servers. So I actually made money on that platform and used that money to basically create this website. So why I said in the introduction to start small, to find a market where you don't have to educate people, is because it's so much easier to basically do what other people are doing, do it a bit better, slowly iterate it, and then start to make money. And my biggest failures have been going after huge markets where we're trying to reinvent the wheel and you just need a ton of money for that. So that's why I kind of started with that. And your question was how to find that, right?
Yeah, well, so you said go and take time, find something that will be a good niche market. I often suggest that people find something they know. So
Yes,
when you
100%.
describe being on Discord, being with your friends, you came to know that market and thought,
Yep.
I could do that or I could do it better and get something out of it. That to me is a great place to start
Yep.
because going out to find a business and going into things you don't know oftentimes can be fraught with real challenge.
Yeah, real challenge, right? Yeah, yeah. Do something that you know, something that you love, and something where you can carve out a small piece of that market, right? Something niche enough where
Yeah.
you're not going after the massive players in whatever industry you're in, right? But yeah, that would be my advice too. Yeah, familiarize yourself with the market, right? Really learn the inner workings of the customers that will be using your platform, and then launch it, man. Like use the like just start iterating and use customer feedback to make it better. The first version of discourse.com was terrible. I mean, we the design was terrible, the code base was terrible. But through a year or two process, we iterated until it was a really great platform, and then we started to make money. And all the time that we spent, iterating, we learned so much that it was so much easier to take to the next level.
Yeah.
If we Yeah, if we had
Yeah.
spent years not launching, we wouldn't have been able to be successful, I don't think.
Right. Don't let perfection be the
Yeah.
enemy of doing anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I know somebody that spent years trying to create a smaller platform than discourse.com that was a better design by far than our first version, but they never launched it. So it's kind of a lesson, right? Start to
It's
learn.
Yeah, get out there, create and
Yeah.
iterate, and you learn as you go. Well, I think the success that you've had, it is rarefied air for someone to have anything that you can say a million people come to look at this every month, a million
Yeah.
different people.
Yeah.
And to be in that space means it not only worked, but you have continued to sustain it. So
Yeah.
clearly, that's not just you. You've built a team. You've made something. So what are those steps? You go, you launch, create, you iterate. How do you find a team that will help you make that vision happen?
Yeah. So what I would say, right, at first, if you're not working with much capital, go out there and do a lot of it yourself and outsource anything that you can't do. At first, I was the person cold email or cold messaging, right? People on Discord, probably 50 to 100 a day to just try and get customers to our site. I was DMing similar. Another thing you can do is message other people in the space. First of all, start to try and drive free traffic to the product or service that you're creating. So, some
Ah,
specific ways that I found that this worked really well was forums. So, Quora, Reddit. I would post under discussion threads that basically said, what is the best way to find Discord servers? And I'd just go in every day and post on 20 of these questions saying, use this website, which is completely fine on these platforms. They allow self promotion as long as it brings value to their users. So do stuff like that. Reach out to people. Just reach out to
yeah.
potential customers, whether that's through email, through messaging, through other channels. Just reach out to them and just try and get as many people as possible. And then once you have some traffic, another way you can grow your audience without spending money. Reach out to similar companies in the space that aren't competitors to you, because competitors aren't going to help you, right? But reach out to people with the same audience that aren't competitors, and do partnerships where, hey, I'll post this blog promoting your platform, you post one promoting mine, or I'll put this banner out on my website, you put it on mine. I actually got people to put in the header of their website, so the top section, right? I got a bunch of people to put Discord server list in that header, which gave us a hundred
Wow.
thousand backlinks because every page on their website, and SEO is a huge thing. So do stuff like that. Don't be scared by the fact that you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to put into a project. In this new age, there are ways to get people on your product for free, right? And then once you have money, your second question, how do you build a team? The biggest thing, what I did was I went on freelancer websites and also places like Discord and just tried to find talented developers mostly, right? And just try a bunch of people out, keep the people that work, and don't be afraid to let go of the people that don't work. Because man, it'll take time. I went through a lot of people that just were really not a great fit for the team. So that would be my
Yeah.
advice. Just it takes time to find the best people.
And that's not always easy to do, but it's some great advice.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is not working out, if it's not working, sooner rather than later, right?
Yes,
It's
especially
always
if you're cash strained. I mean, I've been on a recent project, we were burned because we just didn't let this person go quick enough and just burned. So yeah,
it sounds like it still hurts.
yeah, it still hurts. Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah, well, that's it. And I can tell you one of the things I believe about entrepreneurship, creating things, is there's great joy and fun in it.
yeah.
And I sense that from you. How do you keep that going from the early days as you build into something larger? How do you keep making it interesting and fun for you?
That's a really good question. I've always been someone that's really enjoys statistics for some reason. So
Hmm.
marketing and doing all that data collection, I kind of enjoy. Since I was a kid, I've been kind of looking at analytics on YouTube channels I watch. So I feel like if you have a knack for it, which is why you'd go into it, you'll still when you start to see those numbers go up, it actually fuels your motivation. I think it does the opposite. I don't think it makes you go, oh, let me, I'm now that I'm making money, I'm just going to stop working. Once you feel the
Yeah.
growth, you're going to want to keep that going. And I actually think what you have to, what I messed up on some, and this is a mistake, you should actually not give in to trying to grow too quickly.
Yeah.
You should slowly build and not spend all of your money on expansion or anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, oh, well, now we're making this amount. Let's see if we can, have 10 times that amount of users in a couple of years. And that can be dangerous. So I think it does the opposite. I think it motivates you as you go.
I think that makes perfect sense. And then when you know that something's working, there is the tendency to sort of want to expand, try adding other verticals or add something that is incrementally larger or
Yep.
whatever. How do you do that in a measured way? And I know you've had trial and error on this front. So, how do you find a way to do that carefully, but still be able to test the waters?
So biggest success I've had in expansion would be adding to what's already working. So with discords.com, we bought the URL discords.com. We used to have discord which is way worse. And that investment was great. We spent a lot of money, but it was great. And we acquired some other Discord based third party websites. The worst expansions I've had are trying to go into new markets without having a real knowledge of the audience of those markets. And then also the other thing about those new markets, I tried to go into the Patreon market, which is the
Yeah.
creator subscription market.
Hmm.
And not only do you not have as much knowledge, and I rushed into it, right? So don't rush into new markets, but also I was going against the billionaires. Patreon's a
Yeah.
billion, $3
Huge.
billion company.
Yeah.
So that's why I also started by saying find a niche, because my worst expansion ideas have been to try and go after bigger markets where it's just giants will kill you if you don't have enough money, which does isn't to say that you can't make a successful company. Just don't try and go create another Twitter or another TikTok, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
of course, there are no rules. This is one of those great moments where we can say, without a doubt, no one knows anything.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, someone listening to this could go try and create another TikTok and it works, you know? I mean,
I,
100%.
I
Go
will
for the
tell
moon
you
if you want, right?
that's what Facebook was. There was this
Yeah.
very successful site. Friendster was
Yeah.
already going, and it
Yeah.
was in the day for whatever success was
Yeah.
very successful.
Yeah.
And
100%.
essentially, they built the same thing, did some things better, and built it
Mhm.
into something that ended Friendster. So
Yeah. I'm
I
literally in the college dorm. Yeah. Not much startup capital there. Yeah.
but they did then bring in serious investors and the like.
Right.
So there are different sorts of
Yeah.
paths. So I would think of you as a really great example of what we call a bootstrap entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah. If you have huge investors, that advice isn't really true. 100%.
Different market.
Different.
So on
Yeah.
the other hand, I don't think most people who think they'd like to build something or believe they have a really great idea to
Yeah.
build something, I don't think they have a lot of capital. I don't think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. So what
Yeah.
you're talking about is for a gigantic audience, a
Mhm.
very important piece of their potential journey.
Yeah, what I want to be saying is just don't be scared if you don't have a ton of capital or a ton of investors because it'll take more time, but it's better to iterate and learn than to throw a bunch of cash at something that probably won't work because you don't have that knowledge of the market or how to do things. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it's usually better to learn and then you can scale up. I mean, you can infinitely scale if you just do it through learning, I think.
Well, let's go to the building of the audience. You talked a little bit
Yep.
about SEO. So for the uninitiated, the search engine optimization and SEM, which is
Yep.
search engine marketing, those are a huge piece of anyone creating anything on the internet.
Yeah.
So give us a tutorial. What's the
Mhm.
stuff that you have found, learned, and find works?
So for SEO, it's always changing, but SEO, you they've tried recently to make it so that there's no shortcut, as in you need to make a really good website to rank high. I mean, there used to be shortcuts, there used to be hacks, right? That people would
Yep.
do, but now it's hard. So right now it's speed, so you need a fast website. You need still backlinks, which are other websites linking to you. Which
Right.
one idea to get backlinks is to reach out, like I said, to non-competitor uh, companies in your space that might do a link for link exchange, right? And you don't want to overdo that because you can get blacklisted, but that's another topic. And then the third thing is they're tracking stuff like bounce rate. So that means when someone goes to your site, how quickly until they leave the site. So that's how they test the quality of it. They're basically saying if someone's using your plot, if someone goes to your website and is on there for a long time, that probably means it's a good website, which is why it's kind of hard to hack now, right? They're really trying to
Right.
make it for quality first. And yeah, SEO is super important. I mean, it takes a long time to gain SEO, but also the world's changing, which is something we could talk about AI, which I think changes some of this.
Sure, 100%. Go
Yeah.
on. Yes, because I think AI is a big part of all of it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think AI is going to make search engines a little less relevant as an SEO because more people will be using ChatGPT or others to search for stuff.
Right.
And what that means for marketing is a really open-ended question, right? But it might just mean we have to switch strategies to creating a brand where people know your URL. I mean, there are other things to do, right? But yeah, the what do you think about how AI is changing all this?
Yeah, well, I hadn't really exactly thought about it. So when I go on and to any of the AI sort of queries, which is a way that I search, I still search on Google, but
Yep.
sometimes I absolutely am just asking the AI. And of course, Google
Yeah.
usually comes back with an AI response anyway.
Yeah.
So the question is how that changes the process of getting to people, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
I really have no idea
Yeah.
because it's different. I know that what Google, we used to talk of it as being in a Markov chain. What it
Mhm.
was doing was simply looking at what people clicked on the most who made a query like this. So it was not in any way trying to find something that I wanted. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
trying to find the thing that most people tended to want when they asked a similar
Yeah.
question.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you know more about AI than I do? Is it doing the same thing or is that doing something different?
AI, they're training these models in so many different ways. If something interesting about AI, if you ask AI where's the best place to find Discord servers, it shows discourse.com. So people already in the market are still going to be promoted. But the question is, right, I think a big question right now is if you're creating a new company, whether it's online or a product, right? How do you utilize AI and think ahead to how it's going to change things? What do I think about that? That's a big question. That's not an easy
Oh
one.
my gosh, no, we are
I just set myself up into like you just predict the future, you know?
all right. Well, let's look at the world around us, which we know is changing so fast because of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
As we look at tech markets and businesses generally,
Mhm.
what do you think comes up in terms of opportunities or places that will change an awful lot or both in
Mhm.
the tech sector because of the artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so AI is creating a ton of startups. I mean, you look at the inflation of, let's say, URLs, .ai URLs,
Yeah.
ton of startups. A lot of these startups and opportunities are basically wrapping the work of OpenAI or other companies into a tool, as in a lot of them aren't truly innovative. And the opportunities I think AI gives people trying to create companies is just automating workflows. So let's say coding. Let's say you want to create a website or app. My developers right now are doing 80% or more of their coding with AI. They're just basically saying you do this, this, and the AI writes it, and then the developer perfects that code a little bit using their knowledge. So it's not like you don't need developers, but you can do things, I'd say, 10 times faster with the current AI. And even, let's say, creating a logo, there are a ton of amazing AI generated logo websites or tools that you can go to. So I think the opportunity AI provides is just, it makes it way easier for anybody in any industry to create a company, right? It just makes it easier, the barrier to
Yeah.
entry.
So just imagine that the world has
Yeah.
it's the world before and after the hammer.
Yeah. Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a completely different way of looking at the universe. And I think
Mm-hmm.
these things open us up into, um, you know, both sides will bring us challenges because people who have skills that they have been able to
Mm-hmm.
monetize in jobs, those
Yeah.
things are changing at the same time. If you have a great idea, you want to do something with it, there should be tools that will help you do it either on your own or with only a small amount of assistance as opposed to what would have taken a
Mm-hmm.
large team before, right?
Yeah, and yeah, that's really true. And we talked about marketing earlier. I think AI is really interesting with marketing, and everyone listening to this, you should go research how AI is changing marketing, because there's something called the dead internet theory, which basically says that everything posted online will mostly become bots and not people. It'll become AI written content, and that's happening. There are companies that you can go to and pay them an amount of money, and they'll go to Reddit, Twitter, Quora, all the forum channels, and basically send thousands of posts like they're real people promoting your product. And it's very cheap. And a lot of the
Wow.
stuff you see on forums and stuff right now is already AI generated. And how that changes marketing, that's something for people to think about, I think, because it changes it. Right.
That's
Yeah.
the
Isn't that
mind,
crazy?
that's the mind blowing
Yeah.
that it's already there. Of course, it makes
Mhm.
sense because you can, instead of having to
Yeah.
create a campaign, send it out there like you did at the beginning of your business. You don't
Yeah.
have to go and make all those calls. It's sort of, it's all set up. It goes,
Yeah.
it does it, probably writes it better than you could have at the age of
100%.
15,
Yeah.
and then
100%.
puts it out there and mixes it up. So
Hmm.
what does that mean
Yeah.
for us as marketeers? You're a marketer, you do that very well. What does
Yeah.
that mean for you and your current business and future enterprises?
Yeah. It means, because a lot of the advice I gave earlier, that advice is still great, but now you have to use AI. You don't want to be doing that yourself right
Yeah.
now. I mean, that's just a losing race, right? So what I would suggest is just go out there, and this is what I've been doing the last year, is really learn how to use it. And while there are so many ways to use it to just, let's say you're doing e-commerce, you have a product that you're trying to sell. There's so
Mhm.
many ways to now create thousands of messages online, which are basically ads that are going to get impressions automated that will link to your product. And how you create a pipeline to do that efficiently and cheaply and in a good way. I mean, that if you figure that out, you're going to be able to make so much money from this transitional period, that's the opportunity of AI, right? That transition, the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, you could say, oh, well, that's kind of messed up to be, being a robot posting. It's if you go on any of these forums, you'll start to notice it you know, if
Yeah.
you realize it's happening.
Yeah, if
Uh,
you're paying attention, and it is one way you can look at this either side. So you can look at
mhm.
the dystopian notion of what AI brings to the world, and that
Yep.
shouldn't be discounted. There are plenty
Yeah.
of reasons that we have concerns. On the other hand, when the great new tools are here, not to use them would mean that you probably will have a great challenge competing in a world where everyone is using them.
Yeah, you see it with developers and designers and artists. I understand more because artists, it's more about the passion, so I kind of get that, right?
Yeah.
But you see it with developers and designers where some developers won't use AI because they just don't believe in it. And my belief is that you're going to be left behind. It's kind of like before printing, if you're just writing everything by hand and you're creating books by writing, you know, you're going to just be left behind. So
It
while
would
there are
be,
dystopian
yeah,
realities, job losses, and all that, I would suggest everyone listening to this to really learn about it and
yeah,
think of it as a positive thing for yourself, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Well, listen, we could talk forever because that's the way we are. And I don't want to do that to you because your time is valuable. And we have enjoyed getting a chance to share some things with folks on Smarter You. We like to end with a very specific request, which is the people who come on our show have found ways to do really creative and impactful things in their lives. We
Mhm.
want to get into your world of finding information. You've found good ways to curate and find information. Share them with us so we can continue to grow and not just eat a fish, but go fishing.
Yeah. So I would say um, the what I'd recommend for learning would be free courses. You can also do paid courses, but free courses. And I think the benefit of that versus going to YouTube is that it gives you accountability. So you're learning something. You have to take a quiz. You have an instructor you can message.
Oh,
And I'm going to give
great.
a couple free course websites. So first of all, you can go specific. Let's say you want to learn coding.
Okay.
Codeacademy.com is how I learned to code at first, which is CODEACADEMY.com. And then another one is you can go to places like udemy.com, which is UDEMY.com. Some are paid, some are free, but they have courses about literally any subject,
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
are great. And then one last thing. There are some programs by Google and other people. There's one Google certificate right now for AI, which I really want to do. I haven't done it yet, but there are some certificate classes out there you do fully online that I think would be really helpful. And then you have a certificate for your resume too.
Oh, those are great suggestions. Henry Lipscomb, thank you for joining us on Smarter You. It has
Yeah.
been a real pleasure.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.